Hello, today you need to cast your minds back to the first lesson of this family unit and this idea of the traditional family. So we remember the traditional definition is that a family is a group of people related to one another by blood or by marriage. And hopefully you remember that a nuclear family is a man and a woman married and living with their children. And what we need to be thinking about today is whether this traditional nuclear family is in decline. In other words, is there less of the nuclear family within society today? So we know that more children are born outside of marriage, and we know that fewer people are getting married. So what I want you to just think about is, as a result of those things, is the nuclear family in decline? Is it on its way out? And if so, how could that negatively affect society? So just press pause and have a little moment to consider those things. Okay, so a title for today's lesson is The Family in Decline. So put that into your books along with today's date, please. And this is something that's really hotly debated among sociologists. We've already looked at some of the sociologists, Rappaport, for example, who will be saying that yes, the nuclear family is in decline and there's lots of different family types now. But there are other sociologists who say that in fact, everybody really still wants and wishes for a nuclear family. That is still everybody's dream family type, and that most people, even if they get divorced, they perhaps go on to marry again and have more of the traditional nuclear family and so on. So people do tend to end up somehow or other in a nuclear family. So we need to be looking at that today and thinking about what we think about this debate. So on the next slide, there are a number of statements that you need to put into two columns. Either they agree that the family is in decline or they disagree that the family is in decline. So let's have a look at those statements. Ignore the step up for now. We'll have a look at that after we've done the statements. Here are the statements then that you need to put into two columns as to whether they agree or disagree that this whole idea of family is in decline. So we'll just go through a couple so that we are all on the right lines. So if we look at the first one, there have been a huge increase in the amount of youth crime and drug abuse in the UK, which sociologists such as the New Right argue is because lone parent families can't effectively teach right from wrong. So that one would go in the agree column, that the family as a concept is in decline, and indeed it gives you some idea of the negative effects on society according to the New Right. If you look at the one below that though, it says the government's General Household Survey has recently defined family as a married or cohabiting couple living alone or with their children, or a lone parent with their child or children. So you can see that there's a new definition of family, and therefore is family as a concept really declining, or is it simply changing what it actually means to be a family? And so that would go in the disagree column. So I'll leave you to have a go at those and put them in the correct columns, please, and then go on to the next slide and we'll just have a second look again at the step up task. So we need to finish off by having a second look at that step up task now that you've sorted the statements. So what I would like you to do is write a peel paragraph to the lesson title. So the lesson title was Is the Family in Decline? And what I want you to do is write a peel paragraph that uses the evidence from your statements to argue yes or no to that question. What I would like you to do, and ideally, is to argue both sides. So argue in some ways yes, and then where you can counter-argue and argue against yourself. Use evidence, use sociologists, and try to think about the different perspectives or theories. So try to mention, for example, the New Right, who have much to say on this topic. Thank you for listening today.